the Deputy Prime Minister of the upcoming government. I would like to mention the three aspects of three fallacies that the opposition side have mentioned, and I would like to review these facts in mainly three arguments. First of all, the opposition side have mentioned that overcoming economic gap through the universal basic income is wholly unrealistic. But however, I would like to mention that you didn't provide a definitive or a descriptive evidence to these arguments. And I would also like to mention that what our team is trying to say is we are not trying to say that this universal basic income can wholly overcome the economic gap. However, we would like to mention that this policy can provide foundation for people suffering from poverty to go into the society and go into and have economic life. Yes. And secondly, we would like to mention that. Yes.
If you really want those to solve the problems of those suffering from poverty, then why don't we concentrate the money only for the people suffering from poverty?
That is a matter of equality. If we only provide money to the ones who are suffering from poverty, who decides the standard of poverty? That is a question. That is a problem. And secondly, I would like to mention that the opposition side has mentioned this universal basic income will become a temporary solution to the gap of the rich and the poor, and increasing costs of social infrastructure will result in more tax. However, I would like to mention that basic income could have the advantage of eliminating or radically scaling back nearly all other kinds of government provided welfare payments for unemployment, food subsidies, housing, childcare, education, and so forth. And lastly, I would like to mention that the opposition side have mentioned the universal basic income will become hard for ordinary people and hard to get the money because they're suffering from increase of tax. And also you mentioned that people who get universal basic income will have less motivation to work hard. I have two experiments to support my agreement. First, Canada experiment held in 1970s. It was a famous basic income experiment, and data from this and other experiments do show that some people would tend to work less if they have the change. But the data also show that a basic income tends to stimulate additional economic activity, particularly entrepreneurial activity, because the penalty for falling with a new venture. No thanks. And the new venture is not as drastic when there is a basic income. And I have another experiment to support our agreement. Second, Indian policy. It was held recently in 2017, and the statistics have proved that small business radically and rapidly increased because of universal basic income.
On that point, ma'am?
No, thank you. So, as a conclusion to wrap up, our team strongly believes that the government should provide a universal basic income based on humanitarian and sociological and economic ideas. And we would like to further mention that the over increasing tax is illogical because basic income can have the advantage of limiting or radically scaling basically nearly all the other kinds of government. As a result, this house strongly believes that governments should provide a universal basic income. Thank you.
Okay, that was the Deputy Prime Minister arguing for the motion, so arguing that the government or governments should provide universal basic income. So let's see how many of our audience members agree with the Deputy Prime Minister. 29, so more than her partner, the Prime Minister. That brings the total for the opening government 49 out of 100. Okay, let's continue on with the last speaker of the opening teams, Deputy Leader of Opposition. Please step forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would first like to thank the government team for bringing up this kind of intention to make a better society, which will not happen. And now we will further on, we would like to elaborate. Well, first of all, they said that we need to make the standard of poor and rich, so therefore we need to give out this money as the whole society. However, there is no kind of direct successful examples in other foreign countries too. They talked about Finland too, but only a bit of developed countries are implementing this policy partially, and we cannot actually bring out the results of the whole society and the effect of it. Also, they said that this could actually have a long-term benefit, and it can actually save the huge amount of tax and use in other ways too. However, there's no direct evidence that tax will not increase. And also, money is a limited resource, and we should consider that point, of course. And they also talked about civil rights, but we're not really sure about this point because inflation would happen and additional side effects would definitely happen. And how can we actually save the civil rights of those suffering from poverty? And also, they talked about small businesses and stimulating additional activities, but that's just an assumption, and it's a part of a small example. If we look at other examples, there are actually side effects, and I'll elaborate that more on my arguments. So now we would like to move on to our third argument of our team, and we believe that this cannot solve the fundamental problem. The purpose of this policy is to narrow the gap between the poor and solve income inequality. However, we believe that this is a too absurd plan. The average money the citizens earn per year from this policy is only 1 million won. So divide that into 12 months. Per month, we only receive 100,000 won. And they can have more delicious food, and a bit of time to feel their life and enjoy their life. But that's it. This policy would never solve the fundamental problem of income inequality itself. The opposition also argued that it has a long-term benefit, but will our country actually earn something from this as a long-term solution? According to a research panel, M-Brain in 2016, we found out that 73% of the people, they said that they would still do their jobs even after their policy. And also, 30% of the people said that they would actually quit their jobs. So this means that the jobless people actually increases 3 times more. And also, this is actually...
Yes,
yes, sir.
Does the speaker believe that people will quit their job only for the 1 million won?
We're not saying only for that 1 million won, but that is actually a factor influencing their thoughts. They make them feel that maybe I should quit my job because I earn a sum of money. We believe that will definitely influence them. And also, there is an actual evidence in Spain because after UBI, they actually increased jobless people in their country. Also, money is a limited resource, and as we explained before, once our government does not have enough money, what will happen to our society? What will the citizens do from then on? And also, we are curious, why all people? Why is this policy universal? Shouldn't we concentrate the money for only about the 40 and 50% of the people who are in actual poverty in our country? Aren't they the ones who are suffering from the actual income inequality in our society? We believe that the government has to answer to this question again too.
On that point?
No, thank you. And how is the government going to control and manage all these monies? How can we know these monies going to where? And also, this policy can never actually tackle the social structure itself. If we don't change the social structure, then even just giving money will give out no meaning to the people. It can never actually achieve its goals that this policy has. So therefore, there's a lot of contradictions in this point. And this is actually short term, just giving money. And we believe that this could actually go up and expand to the government's irresponsibility because it's just giving them money, not changing all the basic things for them. So therefore, this idea of universal basic income may sound very equal to everyone because it's universal, just as its name, universal basic income. However, we would like to question today, is it here to really make an equal society? We believe not. Can it actually make our society equal? We believe not. So we once again strongly argue that the government should not provide a universal basic income in this society. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That was a deputy leader of opposition arguing against the motion, so that governments should not provide universal basic income. So let's check out the audience response. Let's see how many lights have been turned on. And the count is 33. That means that the total count is 64 for the opening opposition, and they did a better job at persuading our audience judges than the opening government. Okay, so we've heard from both opening teams. Now let's hear from the judges and see how they have viewed the debate. First, Professor Kang Young-sun.
So let me first talk about the opening government team. The PM, the first speaker, I thought that you did a wonderful job of discussing a lot of different ideas and examples in a short amount of time. You talked about Finland and Canada and so on, and it was difficult to get that much content out in the 4 or so minutes that you spoke, and I felt that was really commendable.
I thought the government team was perhaps a little bit stronger on the motivation part because they actually explained how having a security to have an income would give people a chance to try new things and would also make them less in danger of failing. I don't think opposition addressed that well. Opposition perhaps did a little bit better in questioning how will government actually change the social structure, because government was a bit vague on that.
What I would say to both teams is 2 pieces of advice. First, try to have a balance between reasonings and examples. Although we believe that examples are a very powerful tool as well, logics or reasonings is also very powerful too. And having a balanced mix and combination of both would definitely elevate the debate to the higher dimension. But again, I was very impressed by the quality of debate. I look forward to what the closing half is going to say.
Thank you for your insightful comment. Now we move on to the second half.